Hey, folks. Thank you very much, Lola, and everybody for having me here. This is my second time, and I'm truly humbled. I had prepared some slides, but I want to keep the theme going. So let me swap this out in a minute here. And what I'll do is quickly share the screen. I would like to talk today about abundance mindset and share. Okay. This is actually being very honest with you. I'm stealing from Uma. And hopefully after this, I would love it if she shares her blog post with you, to be honest, because it completely changed. It really touched me and it completely changed how I was thinking about things as well. All right. So hopefully I've got things going here. Reusing some of the slides, but the story's different this time, to be honest with you. Last year when I came here, I kind of shared a little bit about what success looks like. Let me just make sure that people can see. As human beings, we always want it to be a straight line, and we always have straight line thinking, but there's always curveballs ahead. And really, I find that one has to go through different struggles to be able to remember and really imbibe that learning and then be able to apply it to something else, right, in the future. And this is something that's come up recently for me as well. And so one of the things that I would say is really important for me is being able to really just think about things in the right perspective instead of just being risk averse. The change that this has had for me is the concept of abundance mindset also has made me much more resilient from a standpoint that I actually want to run after the challenges, because I know in the end I'm going to come out stronger from it. So when I'm talking about the abundance mindset, the reason why it's important for me is a lot of times the way I show up is super important, right? Sometimes it's not just about what you achieved. It's not just a means to an end, but how well did you do it, right? And so the abundance mindset changes how we conduct ourselves, the outcomes we achieve for the greater world, and the people we get to work with. I genuinely believe that a rising tide floats all boats. There's an aspect of crab mentality, which is the opposite, which is it basically puts the focus on others' success. So you're spending a lot of time thinking about others and where they're at in life. It actually prevents us from constructive activities like creating solutions, which could be creating solutions that create bigger, maybe makes the pie bigger, right? Instead of just saying, hey, this is the limitation I have of this is the space in which I can perform. No, it's actually like, how can I create a situation where the other person benefits, I also benefit, we all get what we want, even more, and there's creation of greater opportunity on top of that, right? Exponential potential at that point. And this is actually reflected in a lot of mission statements. For example, Microsoft talks about the ability to empower people to achieve more. And in the end, when I've thought about it, two heads are better than one. When you take people with you, you go further. And so I really feel abundance mindset has the ability to change lives, careers, family trajectories. And so it's an ability to create something bigger than ourselves. Where I started realizing this was actually when I first joined sales at Microsoft. I had a wonderful colleague who actually hired me, and Mike. He actually had to sit down with me and just generally we would talk about everything under the sun. And he kind of shared with me this concept of abundance mindset. And at the moment, I think I had never heard it before and never really taken the moment to even think about such things because it can be pie in the sky, right? But it actually changed a lot of aspects of all my life. For example, traditional thinking, for those who have been at Microsoft before or a technology company before, there's this general bias towards let's just build our own, and then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's times when that's not a possibility. For example, I was in a simulation-based team. And even though we had a $200 million contract with the US government, which was basically we were billing against it, which means it was going to be steady. That work was shut down along with other simulation workloads from Microsoft. As it didn't meet ROI, simulation can be costly. So even though your revenue cost is high, but it's also not the bread and butter here at Microsoft. Basically, that led to an entire very innovative cutting edge team being canned. Now, I'm grateful that every single person on my team we found jobs for, knock on wood, even people on the sister teams. But those are the types of things that when you have certain things going on and all of a sudden this hits you as well, you have an option to either sulk in it and have that negative aspect of things aren't going my way. And so I blame my destiny and the universe or powers that be. And that's not going to help at all. So there are challenges that I realize I can't be perturbed by the things that are not in my control. Right? It's like the weather. I don't control, right? What this did allow me to do practically in the job is, okay, so if we don't have a first party solution that we've built, plenty of third party ones out there. Now we're working on a different problem, right? We can still achieve the outcome we want. We just need to now optimize at that point to meet our needs. This also allows me to, for example, my previous boss would say, you can identify a win-win in your sleep. And as an example, very practical example, as you may know, in the AI hype, GPUs were extremely scarce, and we needed GPUs to be able to work on GPT-related items, but there was no budget for it, and it was a chicken or the egg, whether for us to be able to achieve the business result, we needed the GPUs, but then we wouldn't get the GPUs unless we delivered the business results. It was an interesting situation, and I was able to broker a deal where we actually got GPUs for free with a sister team. And so that almost never happens. So overall, I think the aspect that really changes the game is when you think about it, if there's a challenge in front of you, you need to simply be able to break down the challenge and its essential parts and start working each one of them, working the problem. And there's really no other way than to do that with positivity. And along the way, what I find is people will surprise you. I used to get bogged down a lot by like, how is this happening? Why? This doesn't seem logical. And now I just say, no, I'm going to refocus the energy here. Folks have their own short-term, long-term goals. And whenever I see things, I don't get shocked. Because the minute I get shocked and feelings and all this kind of stuff, there's a pattern where, again, I'm going into thinking about them, not about my short-term, long-term goals. And so there is an aspect here where I think about how can we solve the problem and keep the focus on that, right? How do we create more opportunity? And going back to creating value at the end of the day, understand the end goal and make sure that as you go along, when you have an abundance mindset, you will tend to automatically, it just comes inherently, naturally that you're looking at the other party's goals as well as yours, and you're able to create that solution that fits what they need, fits what you need, and then automatically those roadblocks tend to dissipate. In the end, understand the motives people have, the motivation that they have, and make sure that you can prioritize those activities that achieve that desired end result. Not getting caught up in specifics of how or what we need to do to get there. It's how do we achieve this end outcome and execute flawlessly on that. And that's what I had for you today. But I would really love it if Shulma could share more about her experience with abundance mindset, because it's truly hard. It's just touching.